to improve our critical thinking. But now we're talking about a little bit something different, about soft skills and IT. Why do we care about soft skills and IT? Because IT is all about hard skills, but now we're talking about soft skills. It will be given, the presentation will be given by the head of the AppSec products, and AppSec is at Positive Technologies, Sergey Sinyakov.
Раз-два, меня слышно?
Hi everyone.
Мы сейчас на самом деле живем в мире, где
We live in the world where so many things can be automated. If you are developers, you know that this is a code and it's deployed with a single push of a button. We write clean code, but these guys have a different approach. When you write a code on IDE and it highlights something which is insecure in your code, and you can really automate the process. But sometimes products slow down, projects fall down, and people do not understand the reason why. And here's the point. Sometimes they fall down not because of technologies, it's not technology's fault, but it's because of people. For example, we have a team lead, and they do not build a team, they build a wall between these team members. They can be a senior developer who can be toxic, who can be burned out. So this is what I would like to talk about today. That's the main topic I would like to cover today.
Product owner, я руковожу...
I'm a product owner. I manage products, as it was just told, in application security. Before, I had experience with small startups and big BTC companies, fintech, and so on. And now I'm working with B2B product. And in all these years, more than 15 years of experience, what I learned is that the main tool, not Jira, not Task Trackers, not any technical tools that I know at a very high level. The main tool, maybe a single conversation with a single person.
It can be just one conversation or some support or some empathy. And that really is important, because if you don't have this, you don't manage anything. You just cut off the assignments, the challenges, and you distribute them. The manager is not just an assignee. This presentation is going to be presented as a mini-series, and we're going to go into season 1 of my soft skill manager mode series. I'm going to show you a number of cases, so take it as just 5 series. You are watching sitting on your sofa comfortably, and you have all the experience I've had. It's about empathy, cruelty, injustice. You have some superhero rhetoric here as well. I just want you to resonate with this and to see how you would act if you were the protagonist. Okay, so we'll start. Case 1. Okay, it's a human bug or a bug person. Okay, you have an analyst who really is a star of an analyst. He's been with the team for a very long while. He knows the product. His performance is perfect, but he can be toxic. It's not just that he wins or he is cranky. He is real toxic. He can swear in a messenger. He can come to a daily staff meeting or an event in a way that the entire team gets frustrated. You talk to him, but he gets really irritated, very annoyed. So what do you do about him? Not clear. The first thing I tried to do was to get into his head and to understand what is going on there. Why is this behavior as it is? So after I've done a soft one-to-one conversation, I found out that in the team, the level of pay was disclosed, and this outstanding star discovered he was getting paid less than his colleagues who effectively are doing less than he is. So here I would say, well, look, this is not my problem, is it? Go and see the HR. Go and address your immediate supervisor. But I did not do this. I acted differently.
проанализировал полностью рынок.
I went off to analyze the entire market. I considered all his previous
Собрал какие-то
contributions. I put together a portfolio of the metrics of the processes he had influenced in the past, and I produced all of this for the management. In fact, this is a good life hack. If you go to your CEOs to talk about these things, they're very busy guys and they really value the time. So the more structured and specific your information is, the higher is your chance of success.
говорил, это было абсолютно
So I talked to my administration. It was not about feelings at all. It was not about any kind of emotions. It was about some very specific arguments, some very clear-cut figures, and you had a range of very clear outcomes, meaning that this analyst is someone we badly need in this team.
плюс 30%.
It worked out fine. This person got a 30% increase to his salary. His pay was increased, like I've said, but it did not really cure him of this behavior. I mean, it did. But he did not become that fluffy white unicorn.
Команда продолжила.
I mean, the scars on the team's body are still there. The team is still performing well. Everyone is where they used to be. But, there is some
Вторая часть. Как
sentiments that's left. That is not the most positive one.
эта история почему сработала? Потому что есть
Why did the story work? Well, that's exactly because I used my soft skills. I used empathy. I understood the problem. I understood the real problem. I did not close in. I realized the person was just mad, angry.
то есть бывает,
I did not wait to see how this problem would get resolved
они пускают
all by itself. I mean, some managers just let things happen and stay and see how it's going to work out. Well, no, that's not a good approach. An important conclusion from this case is that if you have a toxic individual on your team, it does not mean to say it's a nasty person. It means something
вот и
he finds very dissatisfying, and that's how he asks for help through his toxic behavior. So this way you practice your skills and you make things better for this person. That's my first case, episode 2.
почему? Он
It's very similar to the previous one. I will tell you why.
в команду приходит супер
Effectively, it's about justice. You get an amazing, very strong senior developer who performs as a rock star on day one. His product is growing. We are planning on based on this, and his probation period is over. And then he completely withdraws. He leaves the office before the office hours, and he is sad. Something has happened, but what is it?
очень хороший инструмент.
Remembering the previous case, it's an excellent 1-2-1-2 to use. Here, just a 1-to-1 conversation with an individual. We talked, and it turned out that he simply had been deceived. I mean, he got a particular salary for his probation period and a certain increase after the probation. Now,
Поэтому
the probation after, the increase of the salary after the probation did not happen. So he got withdrawn because he's very introverted, and the problem was then reflected in his work. He felt deceived.
посмотрел, сколько разработчики в целом.
Next, I took a look at the overall pay for the developers in the market. I did some analysis, got together the characteristics, and I went to see our CEO and explained the current situation to him. What happened next was the most challenging bit, because then I had to talk to that famous HR.
Разговор, но там
That was a pretty tough conversation. I mean, it's not about feelings, it's just about the facts of life. And it came out that indeed that was a systemic error of the human resources department. I do not understand why they do this, but that was like some budgetary savings. I mean, the company was not very big, and they already had a precedent like this. So our CEO acted greatly. He fired the HR department, so justice won over. That's my teammate now, my fellow team worker started performing well again, and I became to him not only the person responsible for the assignments, but I became someone who is there for justice and who really protects this justice. Now, the soft skills that helped me were as follows. It's ethics. There are things you cannot come to terms with. I mean, if you see things happening badly, you try and treat it. Try and cure it. Negotiations and argumentations, they can need to be supported by the facts and by the data. You can never win through emotions. Conflict management. The important thing is to find solutions and not the ones who are to blame. As you look for the solutions, you understand who are to blame, but that is not the most important thing. And in IT, management is not about the assignments, it's about protecting the team, it's about having a well-knit team, and about close cooperation and unity, which we're all after. Our next case is the mission. How can you inspire the researchers? Imagine an R&D company launching a revolutionary product in the market. You have an overkill team. Everyone is an outstanding developer, but things don't work. I mean, the project is not going anywhere. It stands still.
Команда относится к этому проекту чисто как к академическому.
The team sees this project as an academic study. Nobody sees any sense. Nobody sees any use or benefit in it. And that was something like a coursework. I mean, you do something that you can materialize in some way, but nobody knows how exactly it is going to work and to come to life. So I decided to change this approach, and I really wanted to turn every assignment into a story. I mean, what kind of user problem does this address? It's not about creating feature number one. It's about see what we can do to make sure people do not lose 3 hours of their life for nothing. How can we do something for the users that they enjoy using the product and see it as a lively one? So this is no longer about the tasks. It's not about the assignments. So our team became performers and explorers, researchers that make the world better. And that is important. I mean, it sounds like hype, but my team really did believe that they could improve the world, and that changed the whole thing. In fact, when we approached the beta testing stage and we got our first excited feedback, I shared it right away with my team. We considered this beautiful feedback, and my team immediately saw how good we were, how well we were doing, and this gained more trust to me, and this got them to believe in our products even more so. So that was the core of our technological breakthrough. In fact, our team at that point really created a whole technological revolution. They did this because they believed their mission and because they realized they were not just composing the codes. They were composing the codes for a particular cause with a sense to it. Storytelling, the ability to speak, involvement, engagement, and motivation are critical. And the important thing is that a manager is not just somebody who distributes the tasks, the assignments. A manager is a motivator. I mean, a manager distributing the assignments, it's not a real manager. It's not about somebody who wants to manage something and to manage the product. A manager that just distributes the tasks is simply a task dispenser with the hands. Now, team lead firewall, that's a story about trust. How did that work? I came into a new company, a company that was new to myself, and they had a team lead there. He was really harsh and demanding. There was no way you could approach him. He was perfectionistic, he was idealist, and I did not have a very good understanding of the subject yet, so at first I was really scared. Next, I thought, how could I boost my authority? I mean, I cannot just come and interfere. That certainly will encourage a lot of confrontation rather than anything else. So I thought I would observe. I thought I would check out where this very professional team lead has his weaknesses. Everyone has a weakness. I identified his weaknesses. That was customer communication, that was stakeholder and customer communication. And he had communication issues generally at large. So all the assignments that were so painful to him,
И, собственно, это
I got into my hands.
немножко наладить общий язык.
This helped us to establish some good common language at the beginning, but then at some point he came to the office wearing a Pink Floyd t-shirt. We talked about music, and then we just bumped into each other in one of the sports events, and it turned out he was not that harsh. It turned out he was a nice living person, very much alive. He had his own interests and coffees. We had a coffee together,
В круг доверия.
and there it all started. So I realized this way he started trusting me. And so he said, why don't you go and check the requirements together with me? Maybe you could contribute something nice. And then I realized I had done the right thing. Now, what could have happened had I acted differently? Had I said, I'm the boss here, I want to do things the way I do, we would have had yet another conflict. One of us would have had to leave. This certainly wouldn't have improved the product in any way, but this way we had made
И продолжили.
a step forward into climbing this Olympus jointly. The soft skills we have here, well, empathy and social intellect. I believe this has been covered a lot already. If someone
Делает.
gets too withdrawn and acts harshly, you can pretty well understand why he does this. You can always build trust through support. You can take over the functions somebody is not good at, and this is true of any team. You can take over the stuff you can manage well if they're difficult
Не
to the other person, to the others. The authority does not come out
приходите в какую-то компанию.
as is. You've got to deserve it and to merit it. If you're a boss coming to a new company, you just have to put to terms with the fact that it always takes some observation. And here's the final episode of my series. That's the story of leadership. How do you become a villain and win anyway?
В одной из больших компаний.
Imagine at that time I was working in one of the big companies. It was a Russian company. We were working on one project,
Что наши стейкхолдеры
and we did so well in the interim demo that our stakeholders and customers believed we would be able to finish it before the end of the calendar year, right? So,
или еще что-то. Ну, неважно.
well, clearly there is a
Пришло в голову и просто
reason why people go for it. So the stakeholders decided to just delegate this, essentially unilaterally. They said, you guys get to do this. That was the situation we found ourselves in. So I went to see the administration and asked, guys, do you understand how this can be done?
вперед.
No, you do it. You've shown you are so good and perfect at it, so you go ahead. The important thing is I went and talked to my CEO directly, and essentially I got his full authorization to do things. I said I would need 24 hours to form the list of requirements for the company to understand how I could fit within this very tight deadline.
Дальше заключался в том,
The point what I did next was all about the following. The current team I have is insufficient, but we have a lot of very well-skilled guys that can help me. So I went to collect a team of the suiciders or villains. So in one group, I had an outstanding backender, front-ender, designer, an excellent data analyst. So I had to go and collect this team of these villains. So I approached each of them individually and sold this idea. I said, guys, we're doing an revolutionary thing. If you do this, and when you do it, this will be the best line in your CV. You will never forget about it once this is done. Well, not everyone bought in, of course.
и я собрал
Most of them did. And I got together a dream team, but the effect it had was
этих людей, забрал, но там
that for the team where I had taken away these individuals, it did not end up that well because they immediately started messing up the deadlines. So I became a villain for the teams from where I had taken away these developers, analysts, because at that point they started disrupting their assignments. And failing the contract. But of course, I got lots of very nasty messengers addressed to me personally, but that was the only way I could go. So I had an outstanding professional team, though. So they were truly professional. We set up, we had a plan, we had to stick to it. So we did. And as a manager at that time, I was there to protect my team from any kind of failure or side activities. I had to retain and restrain them. We won.
В моей карьере, так и в карьере тех людей, кто...
That was a great win in my career and in the career of the participants of that project. It was a very impressive line in our CV.
Мы все сделали...
We concluded an outstanding project all together, jointly. And all these guys stayed with us. They never left to join their teams once it was over. The important thing in this case was, I think, leadership and inspiration. I mean, you really have to be able to inspire people. Had I approached these analysts and developers and said, guys, come with me, it wouldn't have worked. I think you've got to be able to package your story well and to present it well. Negotiations and argumentation, that certainly is critical. I was acting on the CEO level, on the level of the team, and on the level of the side teams, where I had... well, I wouldn't call it a conflict, but I certainly did have some confrontation and contradictions there. So the risks were very well estimated and calculated. I did this in full awareness because I knew I loved this product and this is the only way I can complete it and get it done. So I did become a villain for a while, but it was certainly worth it. In fact, you cannot judge the winners. That was the last series of our first episode. Now, what did I tell you about? So I've shared with you the plot of the 5 series. We've done 5 cases. In all of these cases, the hard skills were perfect. I mean, the code was great. Technically, it was quite impeccable. And as a manager, I had to manage
спасать продукты.
both the assignments and to save the product. I had to get involved when things were going wrong in a way that was not planned differently. It's important to note this and to never shut your eyes to things. A manager is not just an assigned digit. And in fact, the stories I've shared with you, it's not just about myself. It's not about me rescuing everyone. In fact, I'm dissociating myself from this into an abstract protagonist. The manager can change the culture, and the manager can really change the product and the company at large. If you see something is happening, if you do not believe this is normal, you ought to say this. Then you dictate the norm. It becomes what you say it is. When you protect justice, you create the culture of the team you're working in. And it becomes an important part of the company you're working with as well as of the product.
На самом деле у нас, у каждого из нас есть набор soft
All of us, each of us, has a set of soft skills at hand. I visualize it as a backpack. Well, clearly we have quite a lot of soft skills that we develop throughout our lives. I mean, they do not get born with them. Some people have a way to say a no. Some people are good at giving and sharing feedback. What would you put into the soft skill backpack? And make sure
неподходящий момент.
you use it right away, because they may come in necessary at any time. So it's better to be prepared.
Я завершаю свой
Well,
доклад. Надеюсь, вам понравилось.
this is where I will complete my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please make sure you come and see us at the booth and ask me those questions. Sergey Sinikov, Product Manager, Application Security. Please stay on with us for a minute.
Вы же рассказали сейчас, Сергей. Может, на «ты», да?
Да.
Sergey,
Soft-skills
you...
собрались. Вот, вообще,
This is where we'll specialize in soft skills. Just wanted to check out. Yeah, soft skills are necessary and necessary in IT, and we've talked about this.
переживал из-за того, что...
So you were quite emotional about being a villain, right? You suffered. I mean, it made you feel bad, right? Because you are for the good stuff against the bad stuff, right? You are, right? But sometimes, in some cases, you've got to be harsh just to make sure it works better for everyone.
довольно сложно.
for everyone's good. Well, yes, at times you need to take the decisions that are quite complex, and you've got to weigh all the risks, the reputational risks, and you understand that in the end of the day, if you want to get something done, you will have to accept this risk. I mean,
Это не к тебе, это не к тебе.
Marina, the director of this event, I'm not addressing you right now, no? So
Режиссеры, да, у нас тоже
we have directors, stage directors,
продвинутые по собственному.
who've got to be very advanced in soft skills.
И выдали мне такого режиссера,
I was touring the entire country with a director who was toxic, as you said, an extremely talented person, you know, with a degree from the Moscow State University, specialized in astrophysics and science, whatnot.
я потерпел.
And he was toxic in my ear all the time. So I suffered through one event. I tolerated it at the other event. But then I realized, I mean, what you were talking about was about creating an atmosphere. He was just spoiling entirely the atmosphere in that particular event. I mean, I created a 6-hour long span of atmosphere, right? Not much depends on me. I mean, you're on the stage, I'm on the stage. A lot depends on this stage, on us. We create the atmosphere we're all in.
За них отвечаю.
People have millions in their minds, and you're responsible for that. You're in charge. So I got him out of my head. Okay, I had to come closer to him. I had to talk to him. I was a villain. I didn't like doing this. I was a villain at that time, but he never ever was toxic again in my mind, in my ears. And the outstanding 7 events at that time, they went extremely well. Actually, I had to become villain. I mean, I actually relieved him of the suffering he was going through. He's a bad director. He's an excellent writer.
Парень не умел.
Be able to say no. I mean, I used to be a kind guy. I could not say no, but now I can say no, and I can actually fight against you. Marina, it is not meant against you. Marina is doing good.
Все, спасибо, немного.